Hello, my name is Ben,
And my name's Josh.
and welcome back to FPL Graduates. Welcome back to another video where today we're going to be going through our provisional teams for Game Week 28. It's a double game week. We're really looking forward to it. Let's get straight into our teams.
So here is my team for double game week 28. As Ben alluded to, it's going to be a really hectic game week with obviously Luton and Bournemouth doubling. Bournemouth with one of the best double game weeks that you could probably pick in terms of fixtures too. So to run through my team selection, I'm currently 4.5k in the world. We got a slight red arrow last week, so hopefully this week we can sort of bounce back. So Areola in goal, played him last week for the 13-pointer. Didn't really expect a penalty save, but we love those after me benching him for all those hauls earlier in the season, so got a little bit back there. Burnley at home, I don't really expect West Ham to keep a clean sheet. Burnley were really unlucky not to score against Bournemouth at the weekend. In the defence, I've got Saliba, who I'm hoping that he doesn't keep a clean sheet just because Arsenal's defence is over 100% effectively owned, meaning that basically all FPL managers have maybe two Arsenal defenders or collectively have more than one. So yeah, not ideal there either. Zabarnyi with the double is probably one of the highlights of my team this week. Had him last week, got that clean sheet, and then two home fixtures, hoping for at least one clean sheet there. Obviously not much attacking threat from him, but like I said, if Bournemouth can keep a clean sheet, I'll be very happy this game week. And then it's a transfer in potentially for Virgil van Dijk. 99% sure I'll probably go with him unless he gets injured in training this week. Is Alfie Doughty. Good attacking threat from him. Two away fixtures for Luton, so not as ideal because obviously we know how good they are at Kenilworth Road. But yeah, he's a solid option and probably Luton's second best option in my opinion. What's your thoughts on that defence, Ben?
Yeah, a decent defence for this week. Obviously, not ideal for the Arsenal defence to sort of be over 100% EO, but that's to be expected at this point in the season. The Bournemouth defender, Zambroni, whatever, however you say his name, decent pick for minutes, and obviously you took the risk on selecting him last week. It's paid off. He hasn't got injured this week at all, so that's absolutely fine. Doughty doesn't have too much clean sheet potential, but still has the 6 or 7 point potential sort of per game, which I think is important. If he picks up an attacking return, potential of him getting potential bonus points as well, depending on the result. I can see the Palace one being pretty low scoring anyway, and then Areola and goal, don't mind that at all. So all in all, a fairly strong defence there.
Yeah, and something that I didn't mention in the start of the video, I'm also not free hitting in Game Week 29 if you didn't know already. So players like Alfie Doughty and Luton players are obviously really beneficial for me to field a close to, if not a full 11 come Game Week 29. So going into the midfield then, we've got Bukayo Saka. Obviously he's been in unbelievable form. I think he's the top scoring FPL player over the last 5 game weeks. So decent fixture with Brentford at home. Again, hopefully not going to be over 100% EO this week, but is a very good single game week fixture, and potentially if you took the doubles away, he's probably the best captaincy option this week. Son as well, Villa away, obviously brought him in for that hit for Foden last week. Didn't really pay off last week with Foden punishing me really badly, but I felt like Son sort of could have had a lot more points than what he came away with in that game. Obviously Spurs could have had a penalty, he hit the post, Werner missed a one-on-one from his assist, so got a little bit robbed there, but hey, it's worth the risk at the end of the day because now I've got Son for the next 3 game weeks and into that blank 29. Palmer as well, Newcastle at home. Newcastle one of the worst defences in the league at the moment. I must admit, I feel like Cole Palmer's been a little bit disappointing in the last couple of game weeks compared to what we saw earlier in the season. So maybe not plateauing, but sort of coming back to reality after some absolute mega hauls. And then Jarrod Bowen as well, Burnley at home. He's got 4 attacking returns in his last 2. West Ham has 7 goals in their last 2. Hoping that they can improve on that at the London Stadium this weekend. What's your thoughts on that, Ben?
Yeah, decent midfield, template midfield, and a nice differential in Jarrod Bowen there as well. Like I said, Phil Foden could still punish you this week, which is crazy to hear. And obviously, as you can see on the team, it's a bit of a risk going with no City, albeit they have a tough game against Liverpool coming up, but they can score against anyone, we know that. But yeah, it's a fairly decent midfield. Personally, there's nothing now outstanding that I'd say needs changing at all. So yeah, you look fairly set for this game week in the midfield.
Yeah, and then moving on to the strike force, as Ben alluded to, there's no Manchester City. That is because I'm contemplating a hit to take out Erling Haaland for Carlton Morris. For my strategy, it just sort of makes sense. Carlton Morris will have 3 games in the next 2 game weeks, whereas Erling Haaland has just the one, and it is away at Anfield. Pep Guardiola has only won once at Anfield in his career at Manchester City, so not a great record there either. We obviously seen them struggle there before, but obviously, as Ben mentioned, it can definitely bite you back. A thing that's sort of making me push towards it is, even if Carlton Morris was to blank in all 3 fixtures, which he's got 6 returns in his last 7, Haaland could score and not take any bonus points like he did at the weekend against United, and they'd still break even. So for me, it's in a numbers game. I know it's absolutely crazy to think that, you know, taking Haaland out for Carlton Morris is a good move, but numbers and probability wise, I think it's a smart move, especially for my strategy. Obviously, someone like Ben who's on the free hit in 29, it doesn't make as much sense, but for me, it should be a good move, hopefully. Dominic Solanke as well, Sheffield United at home and Luton at home. He will definitely be my captain this week. I thought even though he didn't score at the weekend against Burnley, when he had his chances, he did look lively. A lot of people saying that he's still trying to recover from an injury from Gameweek 20. I'm not so sure on that. I think he's been really consistent and maybe unlucky not to get a return against Burnley. And then obviously Ollie Watkins, the most informed player in the league probably right now, highest goals and assist tally, that's for sure. So really nice fixture there with Tottenham at home. I expect him to get some returns there again. What's your thoughts on the strike force, Ben?
Yeah, it's a rogue move to go with Carlton Morris. But those are the moves that, you know, if you're in a position like that, you might be forced to have to do that because, you know, in terms of all the other players, they've all got better fixtures and potentially a single game week sort of fixture as well next week. So you will have to make sacrifices somewhere, and one of the decent players that you got in is going to have to make way for a potential doubler. And like I said, in terms of midfield, it's really strong. And the options for Luton in the midfield aren't so strong, but the options up top for Luton are a little bit stronger. So that's the case you can make. Have there been perhaps no thoughts really on sort of holding that transfer a week and maybe looking at transferring out Solanke?
I'm planning on transferring out Solanke next week anyway to get Tony in. So the front 3 next week in the blank would be Watkins, Tony and Morris. And then it would also allow me to have that midfield as well. Maybe taking a hit to get James Maddison in as well. So there's a potential there. I think for this sort of period of the game weeks as we lead up to my wildcard in Game Week 30, I've sort of got to survive in getting through these weeks. And I think like last week, I was close to pulling it off with the Foden move. I think this week is a sort of a similar one where I don't think Haaland's EO will be over 100% this week because of obviously the fixture. No one's going to be captaining him as much, especially at my rank. So yeah, we have to wait and see on that one. On the bench though, we've got Martinez, Tottenham at home. Again, not a great fixture compared to Areola, so he will be firmly sat there. Martinez has been a real disappointment since bringing him in, to be honest. Areola outperforming him every week. We've got Gordon, Chelsea away, which I don't hate that fixture. Obviously, I benched Gordon last week for his 8-pointer. I knew that he would probably return in that fixture. It's just a matter of less evils. Literally all of my team returned last week, barring Dominic Solanke up top. So I have picked something right. And then Reguilon and Taylor, obviously, to make up the numbers as well. So bench is not looking too bad. Obviously, 2 of those guys play in the blank as well. So, yeah, looking forward to Game Week 29, where I should hopefully be able to field maybe 9 or 10 players with the hit this week and then the hit next week as well. So, yeah, let's get into Ben's team.
Moving on into my team, and this is how we are set up for this week. So, starting in goal, we've got Areola, Burnley at home as well as Josh. I think it's a better fixture than Dubravka away at Chelsea. In a defence, we've got Gabriel, again, similar to Josh. In the fact that it's not ideal that they're 100% EO, but Gabriel is good from set pieces and has a goal scoring threat. Aït-Nouri, Fulham at home. I mean, it's a decent fixture, but Fulham have been scoring freely sort of recently. So it's potential that he could sort of make way for Udogie on the bench. And then the third defender is Kirkes. Yes, again, sort of not as much attacking threat as you'd like from a fullback, but the weaknesses of Luton and Sheffield United seem to be on the side that Kirkes is operating. So I'm very tempted to bring him in for Estepinian. Josh, what are the thoughts on the defence and that move that I'm looking to make? It's probably only going to be 1 free transfer used this week.
Yeah, I think it's the move to make this week for sure. Obviously, getting those Bournemouth defenders in, especially in your situation where you don't have to worry about them blanking in Game Week 29, is definitely the play. Obviously, you did some good research into how many left backs are scoring against Sheffield United and Luton this week. So yeah, really nice sort of homework being done there. And obviously Kiwior, there's quite a few actually, weren't there? There was like 3 or 4 fullbacks scoring against Sheffield United.
So we had Kiwior getting an assist. We had Ait Nouri getting an assist. Who else did we have? Jamal Lowe got a goal against Luton, and then who else it was Moreno for Villa got a goal against Sheffield United. So seems to be weaknesses, particularly in Sheffield United from that side. So I'm going to try and exploit it this week. Like, I know with on free transfer, I'm going to have to make it count. Let's just go for upside with this pick. Okay, so moving on into my midfield. And as you can see, it is fairly similar to Josh's. Cole Palmer in there for a really nice fixture against Newcastle at home. Phil Foden, the only real difference in this midfield. He's in great form at the moment. Me and Josh were arguing about who's the most in form in Europe, Foden or Watkins. I'm firmly in that Foden camp at the moment. Son could be a really decent option this week to have. I think particularly at my rank where it's sort of not as engaged as the top 10k, it's a decent differential to have as well, which is really interesting, especially against Villa team that play as they do. And then Bukayo Saka, like Josh said, should be in contention for a captaincy shout if it wasn't a double game week. So Josh, tell me your thoughts on the midfield.
Yeah, I love it. Really nice midfield. Obviously, the only difference is Bowen to Foden. Phil Foden, really good form, as you mentioned. Obviously, getting a rest in midweek as well in the Champions League, so should be good for that. A lot of people were worried because he had a dead leg against United, but he was back in training pretty much straight away for City, so no worries there. It'll be a really interesting game, that City-Liverpool game. Personally, I can't call it, hence why I'm more inclined to get rid of my City assets, but obviously they're definitely not bad picks this week. It's just one of those situations where we can obviously make more upside elsewhere. The rest of the team though looks great. Son, like you mentioned, is a fantastic differential. I'll be shocked if more people don't bring him in this week. I know it's a double game week, but him playing that number 9 role like for seasons now has just been so fruitful, especially for FPL managers. Hence why I moved early last week to bring him in, because every time he plays there, he basically returns at least once, sometimes even more than that. So yeah, really nice pick there, and I agree with what you're saying as well in terms of his ownership. It should be quite nice and low.
Yeah, and then up front, it's a similar story to how Josh's was. We've got Solanke as my captain this week. That's not going to change at all. Watkins, and then we've kept Erling Haaland this week as well. And then on the bench, we've obviously got Dubravka, Gordon, Konza, and then Udogie 2. So that's a team, that's a setup. 1 free transfer being used. It's an interesting sort of strategy to go into with a free hit in 29, a little bit different from yours, but you can see the upside of both sides of it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see on the back side of it come maybe like game week 36 and stuff like that, of sort of which strategy plays out on top. Because I know a lot of managers are almost split, and that's what's nice about this season. There's not sort of one go-to strategy. It all depends on your team. So yeah, really nice. I think Haaland obviously is a fantastic pick and will be a nice differential this week for him not to be super high owned and almost affecting your team poorly if he was like the captaincy option. So yeah, really good pick. And obviously Dominic Solanke, if you've got your triple captaincy chip still, he is by far probably the best triple captain to use going forward. If you've still got all your chips left, like the free hit, the bench boost, those 2 chips you're going to want to use in the other doubles. So this is the week probably to use that triple captain. That wraps up our game week 28 team selection video. Let us know who you think will come out on top. Will it be Phil Foden or will it be Jarrod Bowen in our midfields? Are you keeping your City assets or are you bringing in Carlton Morris like me? How crazy? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, some craziness left, right and centre with the FPL graduates this week. And as always, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. And as usual, I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you guys
later. Have a good game week, everyone.